College football witnessed the end of an unforgettable era when Oklahoma State fired the iconic head coach Mike Gundy.
We lost an American icon today. Mike Gundy lost his job.
But just when fans thought the drama was over, Oklahoma State owners delivered brutal public criticism of Gundy, raising questions about his lauded legacy. Stay tuned for all the details. The downfall. On September 23, 2025, Oklahoma State University announced that it had fired longtime head football coach Mike Gundy after a disappointing one to start to the season. This was the conclusion of one of the most remarkable tenures in modern college football history, a 21-year run that transformed Oklahoma State from a Big 12 afterthought into a consistent national contender. The warning signs were evident as early as the 2022 season, when Oklahoma State finished 7-6 despite high preseason expectations and returning significant talent from their successful 2021 campaign. While a 7-win season might seem respectable to outside observers, it represented a significant step backward for a program that had become accustomed to competing for Big 12 championships and major bowl games under Gundy's leadership. More troubling than the disappointing record was what happened behind the scenes, revealing cracks in the foundation that Gundy had spent decades building. Following that disappointing season, Gundy faced a mass transfer portal exodus, losing 16 scholarship players who decided their futures lay elsewhere. Reports from within the program suggested that Gundy had lost the locker room through a combination of poor decision-making, interpersonal conflicts, and an apparent disconnect from his players' needs and expectations. Sources close to the team indicated that he had offended key starters through insensitive comments and decisions, ignored obvious positional issues that needed addressing, and potentially discouraged star quarterback Spencer Sanders from returning for another season. These departures created a domino effect that would plague the program for years to come. Replacing 16 scholarship players through recruiting and the transfer portal was challenging enough, but doing so while maintaining the culture and chemistry that had made Oklahoma State successful proved nearly impossible. The foundation that Gundy had built over 2 decades was beginning to crack, and the structural damage would only worsen over time. The 2023 season provided false hope that masked the underlying problems facing the program. Oklahoma State managed to achieve 10 wins and reach the Big 12 championship game, earning Gundy his 3rd Big 12 Coach of the Year award and temporarily silencing critics who had questioned his ability to adapt to the modern game. However, this success was built on the exceptional performance of running back Ollie Gordon II, who rushed for over 1,700 yards and became the focal point of an otherwise limited offensive attack. What many observers missed was that the 2023 success was largely achieved despite systemic problems rather than because they had been solved. Advanced metrics showed that Oklahoma State was not performing at the level their record suggested, ranking in the 40s in SP+, despite their 10-win season. More significantly, the 2023 season did little to address the fundamental issues that were undermining the program's long-term competitiveness. Oklahoma State's approach to NIL remained antiquated. Its recruiting was falling behind conference competitors, and the culture within the program continued to deteriorate as Gundy's relationships with players, staff, and administrators became increasingly strained. The 2024 season represented the nadir of Gundy's career and ultimately sealed his fate as Oklahoma State's head coach. Oklahoma State finished with a historically bad 3-9 overall record and went 0-9 in Big 12 conference play, their first winless conference season since 1994. This catastrophic collapse included humiliating losses such as a 69-3 defeat to Oregon that exposed the massive gap between Oklahoma State and elite programs, and a 52-0 loss to Colorado in the season finale that was described as the worst defeat of Gundy's career. The collapse was so complete and so sudden that it left longtime observers struggling to comprehend how a program that had been so consistently successful could fall so far so fast. As the losses mounted throughout 2024, so did the pressure from all directions. The university's administration, led by athletic director Chad Weiberg, attempted to work with Gundy to salvage what remained of his legacy and the program's reputation. At the end of the 2024 season, Gundy's contract was reworked, with him taking a $1 million pay cut that was supposed to go into the NIL fund as a demonstration of his commitment to adapting to modern college football realities. This salary reduction was widely interpreted as a last-ditch effort to save Gundy's job, while also addressing one of the primary criticisms of his tenure, the program's inadequate investment in NIL initiatives that had become essential for competitive success. However, even this gesture of apparent cooperation and sacrifice was undermined by reports that the money didn't go where it was supposed to, creating additional friction between Gundy and the administration. The coaching staff changes that Gundy made heading into the 2025 season represented a tacit admission that his previous approach had failed, but they also created new problems that he seemed unprepared to address effectively. He fired 9 of his 10 assistant coaches and brought in new personnel, a wholesale overhaul that was unprecedented in his tenure and suggested desperation rather than strategic planning. This massive staff turnover created its own set of challenges, as the team took the field with 65 new players, 30 of whom didn't arrive until the summer. The result was entirely predictable to anyone who understood the complexities of building team chemistry and implementing coordinated systems. The team that took the field looked completely disconnected and unprepared, lacking the fundamental communication, trust, and shared understanding that successful teams require. The breaking point came on Friday night, September 20th, 2025, when Oklahoma State suffered a shocking 19-12 home loss to Tulsa that crystallized everything that had gone wrong with the program under Gundy's leadership. This marked the first time Oklahoma State had lost to Tulsa at home since 1951. The loss to Tulsa was particularly damaging because it came against an in-state opponent that Oklahoma State had traditionally dominated, and it extended their losing streak against FBS opponents to 11 games. As the final seconds ticked away and the reality of another humiliating defeat set in, even Gundy's most loyal supporters began to acknowledge that the situation had become untenable. College football analyst Drake Toll captured the sentiment that many were feeling.
I think you have to fire Mike Gundy. The worst part about having to fire Mike Gundy is he is Oklahoma State football. I think what we need to understand, he's the Hall of Famer. He'll be a legend. He'll never buy a beer in Stillwater, but it doesn't mean he should still be the head coach at Oklahoma State.
Reports indicated that Gundy and the administration were engaged in a standoff, with university officials reportedly offering him the chance to resign at the end of the season rather than face the embarrassment of being fired mid-season. However, Gundy refused the offer to resign, likely unwilling to forfeit the substantial buyout clause in his contract that would pay him approximately $15 million if fired. This decision, while financially understandable, created additional tension and made his eventual dismissal even messier and more acrimonious than it might have been otherwise. The end came swiftly and decisively on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, exactly 18 years after his famous "I'm a man, I'm 40" rant that had made him a national figure. Oklahoma State announced that Mike Gundy had been fired effective immediately, ending one of the longest tenures in modern college football and closing the book on an era that had defined the program for over 2 decades. The timing was unusual, as coaches are rarely fired on Tuesdays during game weeks, but the message was unmistakably clear. The program could not afford to wait any longer for change. The decision to act immediately, rather than allowing Gundy to finish the season, suggested that university officials had concluded that his continued presence was more harmful than helpful to the team's prospects and the program's future. Athletic Director Chad Weiberg's statement from the official announcement reflected both gratitude for past success and determination to move forward. Cowboy football reached an unprecedented level of success and national prominence under Coach Gundy's leadership. I believe I speak for OSU fans everywhere when I say that we are grateful for all he did to raise the standard and show us all what is possible for Oklahoma State football. The general consensus among college football observers was that while Gundy deserved credit for his historical achievements, his inability to adapt to the modern game had become a liability that threatened to undo much of what he had built. College football analyst Josh Pate summed up the situation eloquently.
We lost an American icon today. He's okay. He's perfectly healthy. It's just Mike Gundy lost his job. Mike Gundy had the Oklahoma State job for 21 seasons. From 2006 to 2023, above 500 every year. Just an incredible run. And it ended poorly, as most tenures do. Very few of them end on your terms.
As bad as the statistics that defined the end of Gundy's career were, they were not the only contributors to the end of his career at OSU. The controversies that surrounded Gundy's coaching career made it one for the books. I'm a man, I'm 40. The controversy that would forever define Gundy's public persona and establish him as one of college football's most quotable characters erupted on September 22, 2007. Ironically, exactly 18 years to the day before his firing. After a victory over Texas Tech, Gundy went on what would become one of the most famous tirades in sports history during his post-game press conference, a moment that would be replayed millions of times and become part of college football folklore. The catalyst was a column by Jenny Carlson of The Oklahoman that speculated about quarterback Bobby Reed's demotion and included personal details about the player that Gundy found inappropriate and unfairly invasive. What followed was a passionate defense of his player that quickly escalated into something much more memorable and controversial.
That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage, and the editor that let it come out is garbage. Attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right.
The now legendary rant featured Gundy shouting while defending his player against what he perceived as unfair media criticism. The raw emotion and theatrical nature of the outburst immediately captured national attention, with the clip spreading across early social media platforms and sports networks with a speed and intensity that was unprecedented for the time. Surprisingly, OSU athletic director Mike Holder supported him, and the incident actually became a recruiting tool as high school players and their parents saw a coach who would go to extraordinary lengths to protect and defend his players. However, the story became more complex over time. Reed later revealed that the rant felt disingenuous and negatively impacted his life, suggesting that Gundy's theatrical defense might have been more about protecting his own program's image than genuinely supporting his player. The controversies continued to mount throughout Gundy's tenure, with each incident revealing different aspects of his personality and approach to leadership. In 2013, a damaging Sports Illustrated investigation leveled serious allegations against the OSU program under Gundy's leadership that threatened to undermine everything he had built during his early years as head coach. The comprehensive series accused the program of widespread misconduct, including a bonus system for players, direct payments and sham jobs from boosters, relaxed academic standards with ineligible players competing while tutors did their work, tolerated drug abuse via a sham counseling program, and allegations that Gundy interviewed hostess candidates for the Orange Pride program that allegedly facilitated inappropriate relationships between recruits and attractive female students. Booster T. Boone Pickens publicly criticized the SI report, defending Gundy and the program while dismissing the allegations as unfounded attacks on Oklahoma State's success. Speaking of T. Boone Pickens, Gundy's relationship with the billionaire booster who had transformed OSU athletics was complicated, often contentious, and played out in public in ways that created unnecessary drama and uncertainty around the program. The two had ongoing feuds from 2014 to 2019 that revealed fundamental disagreements about the direction of the program and Gundy's leadership style. In 2016, Pickens criticized Gundy's people skills and handling of relationships during a podcast after the two had lost contact for about 2 years, suggesting that the coach's interpersonal abilities were creating problems that extended beyond football matters. The year 2020 brought a series of controversies that would test Gundy's leadership in unprecedented ways and reveal aspects of his personality and judgment that created lasting damage to his reputation. The first major incident occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic in April, when Gundy pushed for a swift return to football, claiming the virus was not deadly to healthy people or athletes, suggesting players could fight it off, and referring to it as the Chinese virus. His remarks were immediately criticized as medically inaccurate and culturally insensitive, forcing him to issue an apology where he prioritized player safety and expressed regret for offending others. But the most damaging controversy of 2020 came in June, during the height of the Black Lives Matter protests following George Floyd's death. A photo emerged showing Gundy wearing a t-shirt from One America News, OAN, a far-right network that had been particularly critical of the BLM movement and had promoted conspiracy theories and divisive content that many found offensive and inappropriate. Star running back Chuba Hubbard threatened a boycott, calling the shirt unacceptable and posting on social media that he would not participate in team activities until the situation was resolved. Other players quickly joined Hubbard's protest, creating a crisis that threatened to tear apart the program during one of the most socially charged moments in recent American history. The incident nearly derailed the 2020 season before it began and revealed fundamental disconnects between Gundy and his predominantly black roster about issues of race, social justice, and cultural sensitivity. Gundy was forced to issue multiple apologies, calling himself a dumbass, affirming Black Lives Matter to me, and agreeing to a $1 million pay cut and contract changes after a program review. The controversy also resurfaced old accusations from 1989, when Gundy was a player, about his use of racial slurs during a game. While these older allegations were never definitively proven, they created additional doubt about Gundy's sensitivity to racial issues and his ability to connect with players from diverse backgrounds. While the team ultimately came together and had a successful season, the incident created lasting damage to Gundy's reputation and raised questions about his judgment that would persist for the remainder of his tenure. In July 2024, after star running back Ollie Gordon II's DUI arrest, Gundy defended not suspending him at Big 12 Media Days, estimating the arrest equated to 2 or 3 beers, and admitting he'd probably done that 1,000 times himself without issue. He linked Gordon's NIL earnings to lighter consequences and suggested public scrutiny as sufficient punishment, drawing immediate backlash for appearing to downplay drunk driving and showing remarkably poor judgment in his public comments. The Gordon incident revealed a concerning pattern of minimizing serious issues and making inappropriate comparisons that suggested Gundy was increasingly increasingly out of touch with contemporary standards and expectations. His comments implied that celebrity and earning potential should influence disciplinary decisions, a perspective that many found troubling and inconsistent with the values that college athletics should promote. But perhaps most revealing of Gundy's resistance to change were his comments about NIL and the transfer portal, which represented his unwillingness or inability to embrace the new realities of college football. In August 2024, during a press conference that would become emblematic of his outdated approach, Gundy made comments that epitomized his resistance to the modern game. He told reporters, "The good news is, the next 5 months, we can just play football."
That's what I told the players. There's no negotiating now. Portal's over. All negotiations history. Now we're playing football.
You can enjoy.
Tell your agent to quit calling us and asking for more money.
Rich Eisen's reaction to these comments captured the surreal nature of the modern college football landscape.
But here is a college football coach of a major college football program saying he's told his players, tell your agents to stop calling and asking for more money. That's a word that normally that would get Oklahoma State the death penalty.
This resistance to the new reality of college football became increasingly problematic for Gundy and Oklahoma State, as his unwillingness to fully embrace change left the program at a severe competitive disadvantage. Over 3 years, the program spent approximately $7 million combined in NIL, an embarrassingly low number for a Power 4 program trying to compete at the highest level of college football. The final major controversy came in November 2024, amid Oklahoma State's worst season in nearly 2 decades. During a press conference following the team's continued struggles, Gundy lashed out at critical fans, calling them failures who can't pay their own bills and are weak, while simultaneously urging these same fans to donate more to NIL efforts. The irony of insulting the very people he needed support from while asking for their financial contributions was lost on Gundy, but it wasn't lost on Oklahoma State administrators or fans who had finally reached their breaking point. OSU President Dr. Kays Schrum and Athletic Director Chad Weiberg issued a joint statement distancing the university from Gundy's comments. While Gundy apologized the next day following his established pattern of inflammatory comments followed by damage control, the damage was irreversible. However bad his antics and controversies got, though, Mike Gundy's legacy and accomplishments with Oklahoma State remain undeniable. Mike Gundy's rise and historic achievements. Born on August 12, 1967 in Midwest City, Oklahoma, Gundy's relationship with Oklahoma State began as a teenager when he chose to commit to OSU despite heavy recruitment from top programs, including their in-state rivals, the University of Oklahoma. As a player from 1986 to 1989, Gundy didn't just play quarterback. He rewrote the record books with a combination of talent, determination, and an innate understanding of the game that would later serve him well as a coach. During his college career, he set numerous passing records, becoming the all-time leading passer in both OSU and Big 8 conference history at the time. His statistics were staggering for the era: 7,997 passing yards and 49 touchdowns over 4 seasons, leading the team to 2 10-win seasons and bowl victories in both the 1987 Sun Bowl and 1988 Holiday Bowl. Perhaps most remarkably, he set an NCAA record for the most consecutive passes attempted without an interception to start a career with 138 attempts as a freshman, a record that stood until Robert Griffin III broke it in 2008. This early display of precision and decision-making under pressure would become hallmarks of Gundy's approach to the game throughout his career. But what made Gundy's playing career truly special wasn't just the numbers, it was the company he kept and the lessons he learned. He played alongside future Pro Football Hall of Famers Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders, forming one of the most dynamic offensive trios in college football history. Being part of such an elite group taught Gundy invaluable lessons about leadership, preparation, and what separated good players from truly great ones. This early exposure to greatness would prove instrumental in shaping his coaching philosophy and understanding of what it took to build elite-level talent. After graduating from OSU in 1990 with a degree in secondary education, specializing in social studies, Gundy immediately joined the coaching ranks, beginning what would become an extraordinary journey through the profession. His early coaching career was marked by rapid advancement and strategic moves that demonstrated his football acumen and ambition. Starting as wide receivers coach at OSU at the remarkably young age of 23, he progressed to quarterbacks coach and then offensive coordinator, absorbing knowledge and honing his craft under different mentors and systems. However, like a magnet drawn to steel, he returned to Stillwater in 2001 as offensive coordinator under Les Miles. This homecoming represented more than just a career move. It was a reunion with his football family and a chance to help build something special at the place that had shaped him as both a player and a person. Under Miles, Oklahoma State began to show signs of the potential that would later be fully realized under Gundy's leadership, reaching 3 straight bowl games and establishing a foundation of respectability in the Big 12. When Miles departed for LSU in 2004, the university faced a critical decision that would determine the trajectory of Oklahoma State football for the next 2 decades. The choice was between hiring an established coach with a proven track record at other institutions or taking a calculated risk on a young, ambitious coordinator who understood the unique challenges and opportunities that came with coaching at Oklahoma State. At just 37 years old, Gundy was promoted to head coach, becoming one of only 3 OSU head coaches who had previously played for the program. This decision would prove to be one of the most transformative in Oklahoma State football history, though it didn't come without initial skepticism from some corners of the fan base and media who wondered if the university was simply taking the easy route rather than making a splash higher. The early years of Gundy's head coaching tenure were marked by the growing pains typical of a young coach learning his craft while trying to establish his own identity separate from his predecessors. His debut season in 2005 resulted in a challenging 4-7 record, complicated by the dismissal of 11 players for various violations. This early adversity tested Gundy's resolve and forced him to confront the harsh realities of leading a program where accountability and discipline had to be established from day one. By 2006, he had secured his first winning season and bowl victory at the Independence Bowl, setting the foundation for what would become an unprecedented run of success. This breakthrough season wasn't just about wins and losses. It represented a shift in mindset and expectations around Oklahoma State football. Players began to believe they could compete with anyone. Fans started to dream bigger dreams, and recruits began to see Stillwater as a destination rather than a stepping stone. The transformation of Oklahoma State under Gundy's leadership was nothing short of remarkable and defied conventional wisdom about the limitations facing programs outside college football's traditional elite. From 2006 to 2023, Oklahoma State went to bowl games for 18 consecutive seasons, a streak that represented sustained excellence at a level the program had never before achieved. This consistency became Gundy's calling card and proof that with the right leadership, culture, and commitment, even programs without natural advantages could compete at the highest level. The pinnacle of Gundy's coaching career came in 2011, a season that will forever be etched in Oklahoma State lore as the culmination of everything he had been building towards since taking over the program. That magical campaign saw the Cowboys compile a 12-1 record, capture their first outright Big 12 championship since 1948, and reach as high as number 2 in the BCS rankings while being in serious contention for a spot in the national championship game. The 2011 team was a masterpiece of coaching, recruiting, and player development that showcased all of Gundy's strengths as a program builder. The squad featured future NFL first-round picks Justin Blackmon and Brandon Weeden, but their success was built on more than just individual talent. The 2011 team led the FBS in turnover margin, demonstrating the kind of attention to detail and fundamental soundness that had become hallmarks of Gundy's coaching philosophy. His program produced 3 Biletnikoff Award winners for the nation's top receiver, Justin Blackmon in both 2010 and 2011, and James Washington in 2017. This level of success at the receiver position was unprecedented for Oklahoma State and demonstrated Gundy's ability to create systems and cultures that allowed skilled players to reach their maximum potential. The list of NFL talent that passed through Stillwater during Gundy's tenure reads like an all-star roster, with 8 first-round NFL draft picks during his head coaching tenure, and time as an assistant under Les Miles, more than half of OSU's historical total. This productivity in developing professional-level talent helped establish Oklahoma State as a legitimate destination for high school prospects who wanted to maximize their potential and prepare for the next level. What made Gundy particularly special was his ability to adapt and evolve his program's identity over time, demonstrating the kind of tactical flexibility that separates good coaches from truly great ones. In the early years, Oklahoma State was known for its high-flying passing attack, featuring the Brandon Weeden to Justin Blackmon connection that terrorized Big 12 defenses with a precision and explosiveness that was virtually impossible to defend consistently. Later in his tenure, he successfully pivoted to a ground-based attack centered around elite running backs like Chuba Hubbard and Ollie Gordon II. Hubbard rushed for over 2,000 yards, while Gordon won the Doak Walker Award, showcasing Gundy's ability to maximize talent regardless of the offensive philosophy and adapt his system to the strengths of his personnel rather than forcing players into predetermined roles. The accolades and recognition that followed were well-deserved acknowledgement of his sustained excellence. Gundy was named Big 12 Coach of the Year 3 times, 2010, 2021, 2023, and received national recognition with the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year and Paul Bear Bryant Award in 2011. His induction into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame in 2021 cemented his status as a legendary figure in the state's sporting history and recognized his contributions both as a player and coach. Perhaps most impressively, Gundy's impact was felt beyond just the football field, as he became synonymous with Oklahoma State athletics and embodied the values and aspirations of the entire university community. He earned the nickname Mr. Cowboy for his unwavering loyalty and dedication to the program, representing the kind of institutional commitment that is increasingly rare in modern college football's mercenary environment. As Oklahoma State begins its search for Gundy's replacement, the college football world is left to contemplate the lessons from his remarkable rise and dramatic fall. If you enjoyed this video, click on the other videos on your screen for more.